Hello guys, welcome back. We are going to continue from where we left off. Today is a practical session. Okay, so I would not go so much into the talk. I will try and then we get to the point as to how we will code. So if you are with me, let's get into it. So the first thing to look out for, once you have your project set up already, is usually the packages you'll be using in your development. And there are things that have been made available in the base code. The React Native libraries is available, routing, some information with the screen, and a whole lot of wonderful libraries have been added, and they are supposed to help us to look at the project in that way. So to understand your code better before you program, you would have to look at the various things you'll be needing in your program before you now get into it. So I would get to the code itself, but I needed to explain some few things. So these things that we have here is what is helping the project to actually build when you run it. So we are going to get rid of this information we have here from the app folder. The app folder itself is important, so we will not have to get rid of that one. Okay, so let's delete this. In our asset, we have a font here. We can leave the font. We have some image for our icons. These are important, data that we will probably use in our code. And if you have a particular icon you want to use for your project, I will show you how you can link it to your project. So your app icon would show, and then also aside your app icon, your splash screen, that too, there's a way to actually create and set up a splash screen, which usually will be done in the app.json. So I'm going to leave the image asset to let's get rid of another thing. We'll get rid of is the components, right? The things in the component, we don't need any of them for now. We are starting everything from scratch, so we don't need that one. Script, reset projects, let's just leave it for now, but we don't need it. Hooks, colors, scheme, hooks, we don't need any of these things for now. I want us to start on a clean sheet, so we need the colors, some constants that we'll be using, so I will leave that one for now, but we'll look at it in more detail. We are not going to deal with this screen, so let me clear what is inside here. We'll leave these two constants as we can see from here. We'll leave those ones, and we would also, so we have getting rid of a lot of things because we are ready to actually program. Now, like I said, this thing is also not necessarily important to us. It's not linked to our code. This is the app. All the things that we need are provided. They are still, asset is here, so that's why we didn't get rid of that, because it will need the icon to show for our app when we build or we run it on Expo. So we leave that one. The splash screen is also necessary for our splash screen, so we leave that one. So these are the things that I've removed, are the things that are not necessarily important to our and I will explain how this linking is done. You can see it is actually a path to, if you look at this is the beginning of the path, which is the folder where the app.json is found. This is the app.json. It is in my first app folder itself. So from that particular folder, you can see that the the actual folder where we have the asset that we are linking to is assets. An asset is at the same level as the app.json. That's why it is dot / and then you have the, so if say I have another icon here that I wanted to link to, I'll do dot asset images, then the icon name dot the extension of the icon. So that's how to link it. We'll do a practice with that one, but we'll have to create our own icon, and I'm going to show you how to even do that one. So let's start with the app itself. Now, without the app, okay, now I have to get to my phone, so the screen. So I'm going to, okay, so let me turn off the phone. So as you can see, I'm recording the screen of my phone, and now you can see I've actually run Expo start, you remember already. npx Expo start is already running, and this is already a session, so it's actually running. So all I need to do is to click on this. So I just hit on the app, it's already connected, so the project will be rebuilt and then it will try and load. Now if you can see from my screen, as you can see, the welcome to Expo in the blah 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 app directory. So you start by creating a file in the app directory, and now we have app / index dot this thing. So now from the way the code will be running according to the structure of the Expo routes, when the app is built, like we have built this one already, it will try and locate the app folder, which is the entry folder I told you about. The next thing is that it will try and find an index file, so which will be a file that is in the app folder. So if we put an index file here, .js, which is a JavaScript file, it can be a JavaScript file, it can be JavaScript with the X for React JavaScript. When we are dealing with React components, the X helps you to actually deal with the structure of your code in terms of how the Visual Studio Code would recognize the code itself. So you can do JavaScript, pure JavaScript, or JavaScript with the X. I prefer using JavaScript with the X so that I can be building as a React actually file, not just React. So now if you can see from my phone, it has switched from trying to access the index file. Now it has the index file, but it cannot open the index file because there's no object or any export of an object that is supposed to show it a screen for it to load the index file as a screen. So that's why we have that. So to let's put something inside the index file. We are going to do an export default. Now you can export more than one function, more than one variable or object in JavaScript. It's allowed, even and it's the same thing with React. You can export more than one function or variable, but there should be a default export, which is the main function or object that will be given to whoever is calling for the file. Whatever is calling for the file, there should be that, so that you can have access to. Now I'm going to call the function. The name of the function will be layout, and I'll bring my curly braces. That's how to define a function in React. So if I save, you can see I have a blank screen now. So let me explain what this code is doing. As you can see, so the index file, it can be a JS, okay, a JS file. You still don't have a problem. It can be even a TypeScript file, which is TJS, right? sorry, a taskbar which is TX, and that would also work well. Um, and or TXX, which is a React TypeScript file, or it can also be just JSX, which is a normal JavaScript React file. Now the X at the end for the JS and then the TS is for you to make it a React, this case React Native code. How that helps the whole project is just how the intelligence code, in terms of if I'm writing something like, let's say this function, let me return view. Okay, now when I typed this view here, the only reason why I got the suggestions that I got was because the VS Code knew that I was dealing with React. Okay, and in React components, when you are trying to handle components, you write them in that large, like the way you write an HTML file. So it's just like if I save a file as a .php and I'm writing HTML, it will work. I can also write PHP code in it. And if I save it in HTML and I'm trying to write PHP, it will not work. If you know web development, you understand that concept. That is the whole idea about the JSX and then the normal JS, or any other file. Okay, so I've placed in here a view. Let me add a text. Okay, and then just write hello world. Now I'm auto arranging it with I'm using Mac. On Mac with VS Code, you can use Command Shift F to auto arrange, and I don't know the command for Windows. Now this will not compile. Okay, if I save, I'll get an error. This is the error message I'm getting. Property view does not exist, and then text2 does not exist. These are properties, or in, like we like to say in React, a component. The view component is not available here. This is just a text that I've written. It has no way of, there's no way the Expo sandbox or the Expo library is going to know what the view word means. I have to import that component into my code, and to do that I can just do I can, based on the suggestion, let's import it. Let's write it here. So import, and then curly braces view. Now when I start typing view, I can see there are several suggestions. I am trying to import view from React Native. Okay, once I select that, you can see I have that here. If I save, I still get the error to be the same. Okay, I refresh, the error is still the same, but now it has changed to be text doesn't exist. Now how I did a rerun, when the error came, it paused the code stopped. So I did a rerun by just pressing R. As you can see from the Expo Metro bundler, as you can see, there is information as to how to rerun, to reload app R. So when I press R, that one will work on both Windows and Mac. So you only press R to reload the app. So I press R to reload. So whenever you get an error, you fix it, and you want to rerun it on your Expo on Expo Go on your phone, you just click on that to rerun. there's still an error persisting because text2 is not available, as you can see. So I have to import text, and I'm importing it also from React Native. So I'm importing view, I'm importing text from React Native, and this is a module in the node modules. So if I go to node modules, I will see React Native, here. So I'm importing from there. So you can save it now, and once I'm saved, because Watchman is working, it's automatically updated and it says hello world, as you can see. So now I'm going to do a quick styling of this hello world. So I put it in the middle of the screen. So I'm centering this text. To do that, I'm going to put the centering code in on the view to center. Tell the view to center this. I'm not telling text to center itself. I'm telling the view that whatever it has inside it as a child, you should put it in the middle of the screen, because currently it has taken the whole screen. So I'll do style, and I'll do curly braces, and I'll do another curly braces, and I'll do flex 1, and I'll do justify content to be center. Now justify content to be center. Let me save this and then show you. So this one aligns puts the text in the middle vertically. So justify content, put this line in the middle vertically, and there's another one which puts it horizontally. That is align items center. So align item center puts it in the middle but horizontally. Okay, so if I save my code, I have, as you can see from the code is running, right? If I want to add something to the text, let's say I want the text to have a particular font size, I can do style on the text and then bring 2 curly braces. Now, if you are new to this whole thing, that's I'm for you. That's why I'm taking my time. But if you are also new to web development in terms of HTML styles, you would also find it more difficult. So I have to take my time. But if you are not new, you realize that this is almost like web development styling. The only difference is that here you are not writing our CSS in that scenario of styling. CSS in terms of there's a text, okay, which will be later translated. You're actually writing it as an JavaScript object. So this is a JavaScript object CSS that we are trying to write for React Native, not for HTML, but for React Native. It's almost the same structure, but the way the keywords are provided are not the same. So let's say if I want the text font, I'll do font size. Now in HTML is fonts that dash style, right? But this is not an HTML CSS style. This is not a CSS style like the way we have in web. This is actually a JavaScript object. So you can't put dash in a JavaScript object. So you have to write it in capitalization size. Then I'll put in the size as a number. So I want it to be 18. So it has become a little bit bigger. If I want it to become bold, I will do font weight. Let me use, okay, font weight is fine. And I can do bold as a string. So it's in double quote. This is a string. Then I do save, and it is now bold. So some few key things to note is I created a function, okay, like a normal JavaScript function, but I did a default export for the function. Okay, I imported two components, view and text, from React Native, so I can use it to draw the view from the screen on the screen. Now, as at now, there's only one screen that React is trying to load for the Expo environment, okay, which is the index file. I didn't determine what it should load. By default, in the app folder, it will demand for the index file. So the app folder will be demanded for by React Native or Expo, React Native, but also it will demand for the index file. So these two things must be provided. But for now, there's one file, the index.js, and that file is like a screen in, if you are doing web development, it's like a web screen index page. Okay, so if I want to have another page, I'll just have to add that page as another file. Sorry, let me close this. Let me get back here. Add as another file. Say, let me call this page, say, login page.js, right? And I'm going to export. Export always come, then default. Always put default right after export. Okay. Then the function in JavaScript, you have to write function and the name of the function. Now, I'm not going to call it layout. I'm going to call it login. It doesn't matter the name of the function. What matters is, let me leave it this way. What matters is what the function will be returning, not the name. For now, the name is not that important to us. It's what it will be returning. So this one could have been home. Sorry. Okay, so it shut down. I've rerun it. So take note of some of these things, right? It can happen. So because I changed the name rapidly, it could not get the object or the function. So that's why it crashed. But like I said, the name doesn't really matter. The first thing is that this should be an index file, okay? And then this, you can add your other files, which will now represent a new screen in the Expo app, okay? So now I've given this name home, and then I'll have another one called this thing. So what it will be returning is what is important. So I'm importing a view. Okay, by default, I'm going to set React Native, not React Native Web. Okay, you can't use React Native Web. It will not work. So please note there's a difference. And then inside it, I'm going to put a text, and then I'm going to write login here. Okay, I'm going to rearrange it with Option Shift Alt F, Shift Alt F, okay, or Option Shift F. That's in Mac. Okay, on Windows is a different thing. Then, okay, so now the question is, how do I move from this screen to this screen? Okay, that's a good one. So let me add my text. Otherwise, if I move the screen, I'll get an error. So to easily move, I can use a library in React, and also now we have it in Expo. Now Expo is giving you a way to navigate through screens using what they call router. Now this router router has a lot of things you can do. So the easier one I'm gonna call link. Link is in route, and it's like a text view like you have here as a text, but it allows you to have a link like in HTML, an A tag, right? An anchor tag where you can actually link a file to a different, link to a different file, open a different screen with that. So with link, I can give it a name. Say go to login, and link also has properties that you can also provide aside the style, which we already know what the style does. We also has what we call href, as you know it in web. So and href can have what we call a path name, and the path name is actually going to help you to navigate to a different path. Now in this case, our home page, our home screen is the index. So the next one will be the login. Okay. So login is where we want to go to. Okay. So let's save. Now you can see go to login. Okay. So now this will make the go to login a clickable link. I can click on it and it has taken me to login. Okay, it is too small for me to touch, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger with a star. I'm going to make it font size to be like the screen, and then maybe a color difference. I'm going to use a string blue and arrange and save. So I've navigated to the login screen. So I'm going to do a link here, okay, from Expo route, and this time around, so you can do the import or you can do it right here. It gives you the suggestions and you choose the one that you want to. I'm going to do this one to be go back, and then put some style, font size 18, and I'm going to tell this one to center everything in it with a flex of 1, and justify content to be center as you know, and align items to be center, and save. Sorry, href, yeah, I have to provide it to the path name. It's supposed to take me back to backstage. Now if you are following, I've been importing and I've been writing these codes, and it can be quite confusing, but it's simple. Okay, we imported a link from Expo route, which allows us to navigate from one file to another file. Okay, right now what we have learned so far is, running the first file, which is the index file, and then I've shown you how to navigate from one file to another file using the Expo link component. Right now, the link component takes the href, which is a necessary prop or property that should be available for link to work. I've added something like a style for the font size to increase so that we can see it and be able to click it. And this one will take you back. We already have this one here, login here. And we actually, because I refreshed, we are actually back to the home screen because I ran into the error. So now this error on the page doesn't mean our code is not running. Well, you just check your code from the phone to see. As you can see, mine is running. So I've saved. Can go to login. Now, as you can see, go back is also here. I can click go back, and go back has taken me back to the login screen. Now, another thing you could have done is to, instead of writing backslash, you could write index. Okay, so go to and go back. Now, why is index not working? Okay, now the reason is that the index is the default file that has been loaded. Now, the index is not going to be accessible because the Expo app folder, as we have here, as it has been attached to the project, is actually running in a stack format. So when I say a stack, what that means is that you put one file on top of the other. So once I have index here, index is the first file that will be loaded. So that one will be the backslash. Okay. Okay. The forward slash, sorry. That one will be the forward slash. Then we have the login being login. So forward slash is the index. Then the next file that can be accessed is login, which is forward slash login. Then if I add any other file, it will be let's say signup.js. It will be forward slash signup. So if I want to move from say login to sign up, I will not have to do it like I'm moving from index to login. Okay, because all of these files here are supposed to be on the same stack, and I'll explain how that works in more detail. But so if you have been able to, do these two things, you have been able to get to this point, I think you have done well. Try your hands on practicing how to add more files and navigate between the screens. Thank you much for your time. So we'll meet to do more practicals, and our next practicals will be on a project. So see you then. Bye bye. Don't forget to subscribe and like and share.